What quote hangs on your wall? Welcome to Goal Getting Quote of the Day. I'm Tony Woodall, your host, and I will share with you a great quote I've heard, read, or that's been shared by one of my guests on Goal Getting Podcast weekly show, where I ask, what quote hangs on your wall? Thanks for listening, folks, and I really appreciate it. Hello, Goal Getters, and welcome to Goal Getting Podcast's Goal Getting Quote of the Day. I'm Tony Woodall, your host, and I'm so glad that you were able to join us again today. And if this is your first time, I'm thrilled to have you as a listener, and I want to thank you for visiting and for listening to our podcast. Today's podcast quote of the day is from James Cameron. If you set your goals ridiculously high and it fails, you will have failed above everyone else's success. You probably know James Cameron. He's the director of great movies like Titanic and Avatar. Both of these movies were off the hook, folks. They were elaborate, they were expensive, they were exciting, and they made millions. You know, for his movie Avatar, did you know that at least 5 inventions had to be thought up, created, and implemented before it was ready to go into production? He wrote the movie years before it was released. Technology had to be invented before he could create the movie in his dreams. I left a quote from Huffington Post UK on our show notes page that you can go out and look at goalgettingpodcast.com/QOD-081. That's goalgettingpodcast.com/QOD-081, our show notes page. And I have a link to a Huffington Post article talking about those 5 inventions that had to be done before he could actually get that movie created. And that's happened before. I know Steven Spielberg and George Lucas have both had to have things invented, you know, certain technologies to be able to do the movies that they did. And you can do some Googling on that and find out more about it. But, you know, the key is James Cameron always strives to be the best. He's the king of the world, as he told the Huffington Post after winning his many Oscars for the movie Titanic. With the elaborate sets and technology for Titanic, they're all legendary, but the point of his quote is that even if those 2 movies had failed, which they didn't, then he still would have failed way above everyone else's successes. Because most people don't dream that big. Most people dream small. They set small goals, which are okay. But, you know, if you really want to do something and if you've got a passion for something, set those goals ridiculously high. Because, again, it's much better to fail ridiculously huge than it would be to fail in mediocrity. So you want to dream big. You want to have huge bodacious goals, as I used to hear that word. You want to have, just ridiculously huge goals, and that's not saying that, a goal's not supposed to be realistic. Now, what if it isn't realistic, you say? Well, many of you probably would have thought, or many people certainly would have thought James Cameron's goal to create Avatar was unrealistic. Hey, most of the technology that he used didn't exist at the time, but that doesn't mean his goal was not realistic. If his goals was to create Avatar and to film it and do what he wanted to do in 1999 when he wrote the movie, then it probably would have been unrealistic. But he didn't have a type of a time frame on it. His goal was to create a great movie, Avatar. It didn't have to be done then. His dream was still alive. And that's the thing. He's very creative. He doesn't have to do things right away. He knows that if I think of it and if I dream and have this vision, that at some point in time, something will be able to be done and something could potentially be created. So his dream was still alive. He did the actions that it took to move the goal forward until the tools that he needed to achieve his goal were created. Or more importantly, he helped to create it. That's the big key. He didn't just give up because the technology wasn't there. He helped to create many of the technologies that he needed to get the goals he set. If you dream big, set ridiculously huge goals. It's okay. Your goal should be out of your comfort zone. If what you need to achieve your goal isn't available, make it available. Create it yourself. Do what it takes. Go out and dream big dreams and do big things to get the goals you set. If you like this quote or any other quote that we have on the Goal Getting Quote of the Day, please let your friends and family know about Goal Getting Quote of the Day. Invite them to come and listen. Now, if you have a quote that hangs on your wall, a quote that motivates or inspires you, and you want to be mentioned on the show, just like my friend Charlie Schroth did yesterday, go out and create a quote art graphic like I create for most of our podcast show notes. And you can find this show note for this podcast episode for the goal getting quote of the day. You can go to goalgettingpodcast.com/QOD-081 and you'll see what I'm talking about. But create a quote graphic with your quote and send it to me at tony@goalgettingpodcast.com. Sign up for our mailing list by joining the Goal Getter Nation. There's a link on our show notes page, and I will put your quote on the show, give you a shout out, and put your quote art on our show notes page. And if you like quotes like I do and you get a lot of inspiration from them, I want to invite you to come out to get our Goal Getting Quote of the Day quote pack special. We've got a monthly collection of 20 awesome wallpaper size images full of great quotes. And for just $4.99 a month or $49 per year, we'll send you our monthly quote pack to help inspire and motivate you. You can find an example of one of the quote packs out on our show notes page today. And to get your subscription started for $4.99 a month, just visit goalgettingpodcast.com/images today and sign up. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. And again, James Cameron has a great quote: set your goals ridiculously high and ridiculously huge. And if it fails, well, you will have failed above everyone else's success. So, dream big and get big. Thank you for listening. This is Tony Woodall, your host for Goal Getting Podcast.